Moving on, Ian, or Ian, but I think it's Ian. It's that British spelling of Ian. McLaren says, is libertarianism the only way to beat the Democrats? Might be. I think you've got a two-part issue here. Let's start with the simple part, which is the important part. The Democrats and the media and the pop culture, which are all part of the same progressive mechanism, they own all of it, have basically made the word conservative and Republican so repugnant to people that even if you ask people, choose a policy position A or B, A. Choose this position A or B, A. And they go all the way down the list, choose A, every time. And then you point out to them that A is the conservative response. They still won't vote for Republicans or conservatives because we're the villains. And we've been portrayed as the villain, so people don't vote for villains. So one of the reasons why libertarianism is a way to beat the Democrats is because it's a new word. It hasn't had a chance to be completely tarnished yet. It will, as it gets to be more powerful, as the word libertarian starts to cause more damage to the giant progressive socialist collectivist machine, then they'll start throwing some mud on libertarians. Right now, they kind of like libertarians because some of them have libertarian leanings their own, namely, they want to do all the dope and watch all the pornography they can. Which I'm becoming quite in favor of. I really don't care. I think this is the relabeling is nice, and libertarian has that same sort of ring as liberal. These liberals aren't liberal. They're statists. They're masses. They're rulers and masses. This liberalism that we're seeing now is not liberal or progressive. It's old. It's ancient. It's let the smart people or the connected people rule everybody else. It's all we've ever known. The only liberal idea in human history is the idea of individual rights, individual responsibilities, private property. That's the only liberal idea there is. So we're actually the liberals. They're not even conservatives. They're just they're control freaks. So libertarian is a rebrand, and that helps. And the second thing too is that I think most people, especially younger people, generally just want to be left alone. And we get really tarnished on, really get shellacked really on the two social issues, right, on abortion and gay marriage, and we understand what the consequences of these two things let loose can be. We understand that the institution of traditional marriage is the glue that holds civilization together, and we understand that the same thing is essentially true for gay rights. That was gay rights, and the same thing is true for abortion and this whole idea of the cheapening of human life and so on and so on and so on. And so these are core values for conservatives, and they're important values to fight. And I'm not saying that you abandon them for political gain under any circumstances. But I think one thing we can say is, if in essence what we believe is that we should be left alone, is that everybody should be left alone, now you have a situation where you have a direct conflict between two core values on the part of conservatives: the right to be left alone, and then the unwillingness to abide by what we see as not only sin, but murder. And so then you get into issues of natural law, and you get into issues of all sorts of things. And I think really ultimately what I'm coming to is, what do we have to agree on together? We do have to live with people, and we have to make compromises if we're all going to be roomies. And it doesn't mean we have to give up fighting for what we believe in, but what can we accept as a minimum? And for me, the essence of the damage that is done to people's lives is giving the government power to control what you think. So being left alone from the government is the core value. And one of the reasons we have an argument about gay marriage in the first place is because the government is in the marriage business. Most conservatives are opposed to gay marriage, not so much because they oppose what two people do. They oppose the fact that it's a violation of their tradition, and it is. But they especially oppose the fact that the idea that if gay marriage is made legal and is given legal government sanction, then they'll be forced to marry people in their churches, and that's a governmental institution. It's a direct violation of the first right. I meant to say governmental intrusion. Direct violation of the First Amendment, and so on and so on and so on. So if you get the government out of the marriage business, it really becomes, who cares? They get married in some church in San Francisco. It's none of your business, But they don't have the right to force you to marry people of the same sex in your church because you find that contrary to your religion. That's what the First Amendment does. People have got this so backwards these days. These progressives say that the First Amendment is there to keep the church out of the government. It's not. That's nonsense. The First Amendment is there to keep the government out of the church. So, yes, I think libertarianism is a very powerful weapon against progressivism. And, you know, if we have to abandon conservative and liberal and go with progressive and libertarian, now we have that word on our side again, the power of the language. Liberal, liberty, you know. Now it's liberal, libertarian. It's even better match. Liberty, libertarian. I believe in liberty. If you can just get the people, by the way, if the libertarian movement, in cooperation with the conservatives, if the conservatives and libertarians can accept the fact that our Venn diagrams overlap over 95% of the total issues in the country, right? 95% overlap. If we can just accept that and shake hands and move as one group of people who are opposed to statism, we'd destroy these people, because then we'd be talking about liberty. And if the fight is about being left alone and being able to do what you want to do, these progressive swine aren't going to get 20% of the vote. And that's what we have to do. Because I fear the government. I fear that more than anything. And I don't fear this government. It's not like I fear Obama or I fear Harry Reid. It's not. I fear having other people having power over my life. That's what this whole thing's about, is not having other people have power over your lives. So, there you go. Anyway, that's it.